Hey guys, what's going on? It's Mike with FormAWin, here to help you guys get your first engineering job and excel. Today we're going over a Google search question, how to switch your engineering major. Let's get into it. Alright everybody, hope you're having a blessed year so far. Feel free to reach out to me if you need help with anything. My number's down below, 305-923-8724. Again, 305-923-8724. So let's go on ahead and touch this topic here, right? Typically, I'm assuming if you're watching this, you're looking to change your major or figure out exactly, what's next in your career path, right? And it's a super great discussion. I'm going to target this and then also give you some additional resources, but really gauging the question why you want to switch your engineering major, right? First off, what is your major? What are the pros and cons? I encourage you to make a pros and cons sheet. And one of my great mentors, originally back in the day told me to list down 20 goals I have and then group them by A, B, and C. A for that's something that can happen within 3 to 6 months, and then the next one, group B, is going to be 1 to 3 years. Next one is going to be 5+ years, right? So I would strongly encourage you to do that, right? Because that's going to directly influence what's happening here. Your engineering major, maybe you're later in your college career, maybe you're earlier on, right? So, there's a lot to gauge. And what I would recommend is thinking about, number one, why you want to switch it. So I'm going to talk from the FormAWin perspective and how we help engineers get jobs, because it's super important to consider this aspect. And the biggest aspect with FormAWin and what we do here is strategic development and developing a guideline for how we can secure these positions, because the biggest thing is typically engineering students aren't putting in the work, or they're just not navigating things correctly, or they're not being influenced by the right people. That's why we have a strong community. That's why we develop these plans. But when you're switching majors, the biggest thing, again, to consider why versus what your goal is. Depending on what engineering job you're looking to get into, I would almost recommend just keeping the major you have depending on how far in you are, and then from there you can then change it. Most of the stuff you're going to do and learn is going to be on the job anyway, no matter what it is, and unless there's something super specific that you're studying that nothing else can really be replaced with that other than certifying yourself with a degree, which again I'm against because of lots of facts. And I'll give you just one strong example. One of the engineers I know that I've worked with in the past, they had a wild degree. I want you to pause the video and just take a wild guess of what that is. It's in music. They had a music degree, right? So, what happened with that? And they studied on their own, they did some other things, and, that certified them to get in, but then the way that they got in was through networking, again, and that's developing a strategic game plan with what we do at FormAWin. So that's my biggest take on how to switch your engineering major. I recommend you don't, again, unless there's something you're super passionate about, and you're like, okay, I need to study this because this is what I want to do with the rest of my life. What we typically find here with engineering, and here at FormAWin with our clients, is that you don't necessarily know exactly what your end goal is, and you're just kind of going through the motions trying to find an engineering job that you may like or may not like, and oftentimes you do not need to switch your major to get there, and if anything, that's going to kind of slow you down a little bit. If you need time to buy, maybe, there's, again, pro and cons list that you can think about, but generally, overall, the biggest thing with switching majors is don't, because you need to really just hone in on what you're doing on a day-to-day, weekly, quarterly, what benchmarks, what milestones you're defining, because you can still join a different, organization, club organization, and learn and work on different things without having to change your major, right? So there's a lot of food for thought here, but long story short, again, don't change it. Unless you need guidance, feel free to reach out to me or maybe another mentor or someone, but really what we do here is focus on this stuff, right? My goal, my job, and my dream is to get you your position in less than 6 months, no matter what grade or year you're in. Maybe that's an internship first, but that's realistic, because then once you're in the company, then that's when you can have some fun and switch up and try different positions versus just switching your major, right? You already paid a lot of money. Let's not waste any more time. Let's go accomplish this stuff. But the other resources for you guys is going to be to join our school community. We have lots of fun things that go on there. We have different calls. We bring in different guest speakers, great things, and that's our coaching hub. But if you want more private coaching, feel free to reach out as well. And I'll see you guys later. Go FormAWin. Have a great week. Bye, guys.